Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and of course last time we dipped our toe into this new MIASMAL Citadel, and you say, I don't know Lids, big scary place with this spooky misty stuff. I say, welcome home. This being the area that I have spent in, I would argue, more time than anyone else. This was the place where, back when I was top of the leaderboards in Mardek, this was my go-to location. So, these guys are quite familiar enemies to me, but let's take a closer look here. We have the Skelezards, which are undead things with relatively high strength. Well, actually, that's not too high compared to some enemies we've run into before, but 41 attack and notably 30 defense means that defensively they're actually quite strong. And as most undead enemies are, weak to light and heal a lot to dark. A little bit of weakness to fire as well is something that we also tend to see with undead enemies, but don't have a lot of ways to do that type of stuff right now. We could opt to go with something like Requiem to deal damage specifically to undead foes. Might be worthwhile here, not sure it's going to be enough per se to take them out in one round here. Notably, they go after Sharla. The other thing we have here are blue souls, which are spirits, so they're ether elemental. And speaking of strong defensively, tons of resistances to everything except for light. Little bit less on fire, but again, we don't have too much in the way of fire damage here. Mardek can do a little bit, as can Slinick. And 40 physical defense, 10 magic defense as well. So these guys, at least with our current setup at the moment, a little bit tricky. So what do we go for here? Thunderbolt is probably Charlotte's best move, of course, but do we go with everyone here? Do we try to target one specific person? Let's try hitting everyone. See what the damage looks like here. It's not a lot to the blue souls. It is enough to take out the Skelezards, at least when combined with the Requiem. That's what damage you were seeing there. So that was coming from Eloian. So now, with Mardek, I'm thinking because we saw that these blue souls are weakest to fire, we'll use a fire slash here. But remember, these guys have, I think it was 40 physical defense, so even if we hit our reaction, still not much in the way of damage here. So at least for Slinick, yes, you do have fire damage. It is also a spell, not an attack, so that should mean that you guys have less defense against it. So let's try going for the one with, less HP. The one with 400 we would not have been able to take out there. Now, notably, Requiem does not deal damage to spirits, therefore this is not going to do too many favors for us. We could instead do something like Dolores Dirge, which will deal less damage, but damage regardless of what type of enemy we're going against. Then Charla, if you specifically target just this one enemy with a Thunderbolt, damage should be a little higher. Still not a lot, though, and ooh, notably, Dolores Dirge, not enough. And that was an Ether Elemental spell against Mardek. Fortunately, he can tank things a little bit better than most others. Mardek could go with a Fire Slash against these guys as well. Still not enough. Not quite, at least. Slinick, okay, so notably, just 26 HP remaining. This person will go down to the next Dolores Dirge. Oh, we did Master Boost. I was gonna say, maybe that was a reason to make point of doing that, but Earth Slash, that's the next one on our list, so don't think it's the best in terms of damage here, but gets us closer to mastering it. Eloian, you definitely do need to keep on playing this, though, because that will be the difference maker, unless, of course, we opt to go with something for Sharla here. And, I mean, certainly, Sharla, you could deal 6 damage, even if the blue soul has 90% air resistance. But, do we just save a little bit of MP, go with the lightning bolt? Yeah, that works, that's fine. Okay. Ectoplasm, we used a lot of that recently, or maybe sold is more accurate. We get some liquid sound here, which is the silence removing potion, and we don't have a lot of it. However, this gives us 10, so that's good to see, because with just 1 on Eloian, we are perhaps at risk of running out of it there. So, plenty of different directions in which we could go here. Take your pick. Plenty of chests as well, so presumably we'll run into some of those, as we're seeing here. Azure Stole +4, so of course we saw some of these stoles back in the shop in Aeropolis. This being the mid-level stole, there's the +2, +4, and +6 stoles. This is the middle level one. It's for Spirit. Remember, they come in Spirit, Strength, and Vitality varieties. So I think we did end up purchasing this one at one point. Either that or we said, yeah, we can learn the same passive skill from it as you learn from the Sapphires, because if we take another look at it, we'll find that the big thing about it is, sure, it gives you a little bit of defense and magic defense, but it gives you the +2 ability, but that does come from these Sapphires as well, and we already had plenty of those, so wasn't too much of a concern there, and +4 Spirit as well on the item directly. So if you are looking to stack as much spirit as possible, then of course the +6 version is best. But that is potentially an alternative as well. Okay, so we can go take this chest here. This is a gold shield. The shield isn't made of solid gold because it'd be ludicrously expensive and rather soft and useless if it was. Instead, it's merely gold-plated. I do think we saw some of these also in a shop in Aeropolis. They have, let's double check. I think higher defenses, yeah, 4, which is solid for a shield, but if you bear in mind that we've done a fair share of crafting powerful shields, then I think for the most part we'll find that it's still something that is not as good as some of the things that we've spent some time creating, like the Rune Shield Plus, or the Shield of Darkness, Shield of Light, which at the moment I think is sitting in our item storage. Okay, so let's head back over down a different avenue. We do see that there appears to be another green spot there, which suggests perhaps a portal to a different area of the Miasmal Citadel. But before we do that, we probably do want to make a point of picking up all these chests here. An Ether Essence, which is another one that's a little bit hard to come by, so that's good. Oh, unavoidable fight here, so probably high level, all Skelezards. Okay, so we saw that Requiem was quite effective against them. In and of itself, I think it dealt a little shy of 700 damage, so definitely not enough to take them out alone, but when combined with the Thunderbolt, it did do the trick. So I think we keep up with that idea here, and hopefully that will be just enough. And I think at least one of them, yes, will survive here. And he uses Spirit Breath, which is another Ether Elemental spell. That one stays up as well. Same idea. So Slinic and Charla, not quite as good on the defenses there, so it might mean that it's worth dropping a quick heal with Mardek. And then the next round of Requiem should take them both out. Of course, with them only having 54, 86 HP remaining. Or we could go with an Earth Slash, because, again, we're trying to get close to mastering that. Notably, they do have 100% resistance to Earth, so it means we won't deal any damage in the process, so short term, it makes precisely 0 sense. It's just that it gets us closer to mastering this ability, and it is an opportunity to do so, because we are confident that we can take these guys out, as long as we keep on Requieming. So then, Charla, I mean, you could do a kill steal or two if you really wanted to, right about now. But I'm thinking we might want to make a point of saving some MP on you, so maybe we'll just use a physical attack. They do have high defenses. You are still able to break through them a bit. There's the Requiem taking out the last one. Okay. And the coins we're getting from these fights is not bad either. That was over 1,000 there. I don't recall whether we have anyone on double gold at the moment. Another chest. Healthy Juice, which gives the regen status. And then again, ooh, there's another portal we see to the right side here, so we're going to have to make a choice at some point as to which direction we go down. Is still one chest here, and then another area in the bottom right corner that we've not yet been to. So now there are 2 chests missing at the moment. My guess is there might be another one there as well. But we're seeing some pretty good stuff here, so definitely worth picking these up, of course. And this unavoidable fight will be 100% blue souls. I would argue, maybe outside of the golem that we fought previously, one of, if not the strongest defensive enemies that we will encounter here, because of just such high elemental resistances. In combination with that 40 physical defense and 10 magic defense is not nothing. I mean, we can still deal damage with magic for sure, but what would we like to do here? We could Dolor Sturge. We saw that it didn't deal enough damage to take them out by itself, and would take 2 or 3 rounds if we're relying on it solely to do all the damage. Ballad of Balance, we are still looking to master that, but it seems like when we're going against enemies like this that are far more difficult than enemies we've been encountering in the past, then maybe now is not the best time to be focusing on mastering skills unless and until we know that we are going to take these guys out on their next turn. So, Thunderbolts, I think, stick with that. Try to pour on as much damage as possible. They do have 90% air resistance, so it means not a lot of damage there. Uh-oh, Slinic is silenced here. Other than that, some damage. Whoa, that's a lot on Slinic. Okay, so, Mardek, I think, yes, we probably do want to maybe even do a targeted heal on Slinic. Eloian didn't take a ton of damage there, but we saw that we did get a silence status effect, and we picked up a bunch of potions recently. Remove silence, so perhaps not a coincidence there. And then that does mean that, of course, Slinic cannot use any spells, which is unfortunate because Fire Breath was arguably going to be the most effective ability against these guys. Could go back to Earth Slash, but I think on this occasion, still 90% resistance, 40 physical defense, and I don't think that Dolor Sturge is going to deal enough damage to take these guys out. It's going to be close, So, we could give this a shot here. That might have just barely brought them into killing range for Dolores Surge, so let's keep on using that here. Charla, once you use a Thunderbolt on all of them, then I think we might be good to go there. Depending on just how much damage you do. I think that will do the trick, though. Ooh, no, it's 148. It's gonna be enough to take out one of them, but only one of them. That means, yeah, Mardek, you definitely do need to do a heal across the board this time around. You've taken a lot of damage yourself. Mardek's MP is actually quite low here as well. Slinick, of course, cannot use the Fire Breath, as we were saying before. Still silence, so we could, I think, still take you out with an Earth Slash. Yes, we can. So that's good. That does mean that, yes, we are certain that we will take you out with Dolores Surge this time, because, of course, that is guaranteed damage, can't be dodged or anything like that. So, Charla, if you wanted to, you could either use an item if you have one to remove that silence on Slinick, and yes, you do have all the liquid sounds that we just picked up, so we'll actually throw one of those on, because we know that Blue Soul is going to go down there, so it's not like you're about to get the silence reapplied. Okay, so here is the next chest. This time a Soul Stone. We've never seen one of these before. What is this? A mysterious stone. It's said to be made of crystallized life energy. Let's check that out. What does this give us? It is the gemstone. Yes, Ether Elemental. New active ability for Solar. Astral Form. Okay, we'll definitely want to see what that's all about. And then its Ether Elemental gives +5 Spirit, which is also a ton. So on people like Burn, if we're just trying to maximize Spirit, as we've tried to do on a few occasions, then that could be an option. I think we might have one other gemstone that gives something similar in the way of Spirit. I might have been thinking of this turquoise, though, but that's only +2. So maybe that is the best in terms of boosting up Spirit from an accessory spot. Then there's one more area, that being down into the right here. Ooh, and what? Another green? Something there? Oh, it's a trilobite. Okay, let's pick up this chest first, and it gives us an elixir, which, remember, restores full HP and MP, and I think we had a few of these back in the day, and by that I mean before the Red Dragon fight, but we all know how that one went. Let's not talk about that. So there is a trilobite. We, of course, know what that means. And let's perhaps take a quick look at how people are looking from an MP and HP standpoint. Mardek could probably use a heal here. Now, of course, it's been a while since we last fought a Trilobite Warrior, and in the meantime, I think we have powered up quite a bit. Now, this is, again, maybe not necessarily our strongest group, because we are using some people who are on the lower level end of our party, but I think we should still find that, generally speaking, Trilobite Warriors at this stage in the game should be a fair bit easier than they were previously. Ha! I'm a Trilobite Warrior! Fight me! Okay, so as for this guy here, just as a reminder, he has relatively balanced attributes. 30 attack, 20 defense, and 0 magic defense. That means magic definitely preferable. And then 200% resistance to water, so definitely don't want to use that. Not sure we have much in the way of water damage with this group anyway, so that should be fine. And then air and earth are the strongest elements against him, and we do have both of those, so this could actually be a good team for this. Could do Battle to Balance if we really wanted to. It would, of course, not really affect the Trilobite Warrior at all, because there's only one person on his side. But we do have 4 people here, so if we're looking to split our damage across the group, then not sure we necessarily need to have that happen, but it's something we could do. Like I said, I'm not terribly concerned about the Warrior at this stage, because there's 2,000 damage there. And Benthic Pressure does hit everyone, of course, now that we've used Battle to Balance. So, but, I mean, it's not a lot of damage there, so not a big issue. Mardek, you could use an Earth Slash, and that would presumably be a lot of damage here. I think we can probably just go all-out offense, and that should be fine. Because now, the Warrior is, well, maybe just 2, possibly even 1 hit away from going down here. Slinick can't quite finish it off. So, Elwian, I think we probably just continue to have you, well, actually, let's have you actively use Battle to Balance, that way make sure that you're getting another use out of it. And Charla, with the Thunderbolt, this should do the trick. That it does. Trilobite Warrior down, no problem. Honestly, one could argue weaker than some of the default enemies that we've run into here, the ones that we can run into from random encounters. Another Trilobite Staff, we did get one of these to drop previously. Another Fig Juice. That's another HP restoring potion, so that's also a good one. Well done! You've won. You've defeated 5 of us so far. Keep at it, young man. I will be going now. Good day. Okay, so 5 Trilobite warriors down does mean that I'm pretty sure we are close to getting to the last of them. I think there might be 6 total, meaning there's one more, and oh, hold on. Unavoidable battle here against more blue souls. And so, yeah, I think we'll find that, it took 2 rounds of turns in order to take out the Trilobite warrior. And I'm guessing it's going to take us at least 2, if not more than that, to take out these blue souls here. So if you're looking for proof as to whether the Trilobite warrior is stronger or weaker than the other enemies here, then this might be all the proof you need. That's our first turn, and they're silencing and damaging us here, and again, this is probably already more damage than we took from the Trilobite warrior. Also, a frustrating status effect. Silence on Mardek means no spells for him, so no healing, which is maybe not entirely necessary at the moment, so we could go more offensive route here with the Fire Slash against probably the enemy with the most HP here would make the most sense. We know that Eloine deals, about 140, a little bit more than that damage, so that means Blue Soul that Mardek just hit should go down for the next round of Dolorous Surge. Whereas this one here, gonna need to apply a little bit more damage, and I don't think an Earth Slash is gonna be able to be enough of a difference maker, so we probably do go with the Fire Breath. Here we see, yeah, in fact, that is the most damage we have out of anyone at this stage, so let's just make sure Eloine should still be on Dolorous Surge. Yes, okay. Keep on playing that. Charlotte, you could remove the silence on Mardek, but I'm thinking at this stage, probably just rather have you use an attack on this blue soul here, and then we'll remove the silence after this fight. This might bring you low enough, yes, that Dolorous Surge should take you out. Okay, so it did take 2 turns from everyone on the team. Is that right? Or was it 1.5 turns, basically? So, was it faster than Trilobite Warrior? It was close. Roughly the same, but I mean, Trilobite Warrior is supposed to be boss. Those guys are just random enemies. But, Charla, let's make sure that you use Liquid Sound on Mardek here. Otherwise, Mardek is going to get into some trouble here. Look at the MP, though. Mardek is already almost at 0. So we're probably going to need to use some Ethers. Charla only has 1, so maybe best if we say, yeah, use one of Mardek's 6 Ethers here. Charla, Slinik, you two could also arguably use one. Maybe we wait a little bit longer, because Slinik, it would be an over MP restore at this stage, so we might want to wait until we can get the most possible out of that Ether. Okay, so now we have to pick. Which side do we go for here? Left or right? And, well, let's try the left and see what we run into here. Well, it is seemingly a quite small area with 2 chests in it. Okay, for a second it looked like that was all there was to this area, was this spot right here, and that was it. But no, there does appear to be a little bit more. There's a chest over to the left and some area directly north of here. Let's go for the chest first, I think. Unavoidable battle here. This time, again, blue souls. And again, we just don't have a great answer to them. Yes, we can take them out eventually, but as you see here, the Thunderbolts, not terribly effective. If we're relying on Dolorous Surge to be our primary damage dealer, then that typically means we're in trouble. These guys will continue to do things like apply silences, and we're going to end up blowing through our liquid sounds pretty quickly if we have to do this after every battle, of course, so we'd like to, under ideal circumstances, take these guys out before they have a chance to use those abilities. Slinik, we saw that Fire Breath was the name of the game before, so let's go with the one that has the most HP here. And then Dolorous Surge should take out the one with the lowest HP here. Do need to damage the one with 163 remaining. Might even be able to get away with the lightning bolts here, but let's not get too clever. Yeah, that is ultimately more damage than we needed. There we see that Charla actually levels up, so that's good. Ooh, Slinik actually at this point is quite low on HP. So we should make a point of healing up, whether that be from an item or from a heal from Mardek. Let's maybe use a heal from Mardek, because at this stage we, are silenced, so we do need to remove that first in that case. That's a good reminder. But, that is Charlotte who has the liquid sounds. So we do that. And then now that Mardek has restored his MP, should be able to use a healing tree here. Should be fine for the time being, just using one. And let's see what we find over on this side here, where we're expecting to, yes, run into a chest. That giving us a speedy juice, so haste. Also, powerful status effect. And all Skelezards this time, which I think we found were a little bit easier to take out because Requiem does deal more damage than Dolores Dirge, while with it being a little bit more of a specialized source of damage. So then, if we do use the Thunderbolts, then we did find that sometimes a combination of this plus Requiem is enough, but it varies a bit depending on just how much damage we do deal with that Thunderbolt, and answer was not enough on this occasion, at least not for you. The other ones, though, I think will both go down, and that's enough for Eloian to level up. Now, this Skelezard is almost down, so let's not use anything that uses up MP, because we found that we're blowing through that pretty quickly, and might start to need to use a lot of items here if we continue to do that. So I think Mardek, honestly, you might just pass, because your default attack is Earth Elemental, and therefore will do nothing. But I do want to make a point of mastering Earth Slash as soon as possible, because remember, Slinic does still have more powerful axes that we've not yet gotten the opportunity to use, because we're trying to go through one by one, master up all the abilities. So that, of course, won't deal any damage either, but Requiem will be enough, so we don't actually even need to do damage with Charlotte here, but we could just use a default attack, and that should still do the trick. But Charlotte is quite low on MP. Slinic, yes, you too, although you're maybe more capable of using attacks that don't use up any MP, whereas Charlotte, we're definitely going to want to use your spells. Resist Ether on Eloian. That is big. That was, I believe, coming from this here, the Astral Wanderer's Garb, and we were talking about how once she was done with that, we were going to want to throw on either the Night Jacket or the Geo Jacket. I think it was the Geo Jacket, yeah. So let's do that. It does mean that this is now up for the taking, and say someone like Sharla, have you yet mastered Resist Ether? You have not. You were using the Snake Mail, which is not a great chestplate. It's mostly just, it gives Sin Strike and Antibody. I think at the time, Charlotte did still need Antibody. But 6 defense, that's decent. 2 magic defense is pretty bad at this stage. 2 vitality and agility, yeah, I'm not sure you necessarily need that at the moment, so throw on that other chestplate for you. Does mean that we can swap some things around here. Insomnia and Antibody, not sure we're going to find too many times when you're going to get those status effects applied to you. Resistance to Silence, as we're seeing, would be probably the most effective by quite some bit. So, okay, there's that. Eloian, I think you did level up recently as well, and let's just double check. On the passive side, we're going to want to switch you over from Ether to Earth. You are also working on Antibody, which, again, is short-term, maybe not terribly relevant, but okay, then in terms of physical reactions, you're getting close to mastering 50% evasion. You have so many of these that you don't even see here because you not have the chance to start them yet. In theory, you do need to use some physical attacks to master plus 20% damage, but don't think that's too high on the priority list. And Slinic, ooh, notably, does have some offensive RP to spare because we were using an axe that had Pori Insect previously and then took it off because we mastered the active skill, and that was the primary thing we were trying to make a point of mastering. So we could throw on either Degeneration or Pori Human here. Can't quite do both. And we're not going to find too many enemies with Regeneration here. Not exactly sure we're going to find too many humans either, but sure, we'll throw that on. Other things for Slinic, just make sure you're doing okay. And on the passive side, yeah, we were looking at this somewhat recently, giving you dark and plus 20% experience, so you're looking okay there. And as for Mardek, it's been a while since you last started learning a new ability. Probably take off Resist Fire and put on Resist Ether, because we've actually seen a lot of people using Ether damage here. So this, as you may remember, was something that I was talking about previously. When we first saw that we had the ability to learn Resist Ether, I was saying that, yeah, at some point in time it would be nice to have it, but short term, there wasn't too much use for it. This is the time and place when it starts to become much more relevant, because, yeah, there are a bunch of people who are using Ether spells, and normally that is a type of resistance that is difficult to pick up. Other than that, Mardek, anything else we'd like to have you using? Something like, well, Suppleness to resist Numbness. Not sure that's terribly relevant. Could go with, is there another kind of status we'd like to avoid? Not sure we've seen too much of these other things here, so maybe we just take that off and put on either MP or something else further down? Not like you can throw on an extra resistance, but you could do even Loot Finder here. There are enemies that drop some very rare pieces of gear, so, or mostly crafting items, really. So, this is also another place where having Loot Finder, if you can afford to put it on, is quite nice. Double gold as well, if we were just looking to farm up the gold. So, let's head back, though. I think we're in better shape now, at least in terms of abilities. Just make sure that from an MP and HP standpoint and statuses, looks like we're okay there as well. And as for what happens when we go up, okay, well, unavoidable fight, first and foremost, but you did see a couple walls there blocked off, so looks like we won't be able to go down those routes, at least not initially. We have a mixture of Skelezards and Blue Souls. Seen a lot of these guys, of course. If we put on Requiem, that will at least be a good recipe for taking out the Skelezards, if Charlotte can deal enough damage with the Thunderbolts, and notably, this will take 24 MP, dropping Charlotte down to 38, so yes, we definitely will want to use an Ether pretty soon. Okay, both Skelezards down, so that at least did work, and I just barely missed that reaction there. And it did, of course, silence Slimmick, which, as we were saying, is tough. Not a lot of ways to avoid that right now, short of just taking out the Blue Souls before they take their turn. So, Mardek, with your Fire Slash, I think we do, especially with Slimmick silenced, very much need you to use that, because otherwise, no Fire Breath means Slimmick not gonna have a lot of damage here. Could master Earth Slash, and if we target this Blue Soul here, might just barely be able to drop it low enough for Dolores Dirge to take it out next turn. Let's switch over that for Elwyn. But mostly, that's mastering a new skill there, and that's big, so we can put on a better axe from here on out. So let's swap over to Dolores Dirge now that we're trying to target the Blue Soul specifically. Thunderbolt, I think we don't yet have enough damage on this Blue Soul here to take it out with the Dolores Dirge, so we at the very least want to target you. You're not even close yet. I think we probably do split it, and we hope that it's enough damage against the weaker of the Blue Souls. I think it is. Oh, is it going to be a perfect amount of damage at that? 135? It is. Ooh, okay. Looks like we might have done something to reduce Elwian's spirit recently, with some of the stuff that we were swapping around, perhaps. I think that the chestplate we were using previously did have a little bit, and so that means we reduced her damage, because of course the damage on Dolores Surge is based on her level, and also the spirit that she has. So that is perhaps a little bit of a negative side effect of what we were doing before. But if we use a Fire Slash here, that would drop this Blue Soul low enough, and now Slimmick, we no longer need you to use an Earth Slash per se. Not sure we need you to do much at this point, other than we could just use a default attack, which I believe with this weapon, is it Earth Elemental or is it non-elemental? I ask because, well, if it's non-elemental, it will deal precisely 0 damage. We're about to find out. Precisely 0 damage, indeed. Not that it matters too much, as long as we're continuing to use Dolores Dirge, that will be enough. It does mean that also Charla, you could either do precisely nothing, or you could take this turn to use an Ether. I think you only had one, whereas Mardek had several Ether Queens. Let's not use that here. That's quite powerful. Yeah, you only have one Ether, so let's just use a physical attack yourself, and get some experience in the process, even if it deals no damage. Okay. There's a lot of gold there. I think that was 2,800 or something. Earth Slash mastered, as we saw there. So let's make a point of swapping over Slimmick to a new axe. So remember, we have this one here with 52 base damage, which I believe is still higher than anyone else's weapons at the moment. However, we do, of course, have, or had, the Draco Crescent, the best axe and arguably weapon in the game, except it is not currently in Slimmick's inventory. Appears as though someone else walked off with it. I feel like it may have been Donovan. So yes, we did just master the ability on this axe that we were trying to make a point of mastering, Earth Slash. But we can't actually switch over to a better axe because apparently we don't have it on us at the moment. We could go back to the Mighty Axe. It is lower damage, yes, but it is something that gives us that Pori Insect ability we were talking about earlier, how we did not have the chance to go all the way toward mastering it. And this is one of those things where I'd argue this is not really the time or place to do it. We do have the right amount of RP to do it exactly, which is tempting for that reason, but it does lower our damage here, and that's not really something we're looking to do when we're going against difficult enemies here. Let's give it a shot, and this looks extremely dramatic, but with the flashing lights next to it. And large room with a chest in the middle. So we'll see what happens here. It is a fight, and it is a Mithril Golem. And notably, it is a higher level than the golems that we were fighting before, because I believe the random golem that we encountered, because of course you can run into random golems here, had something on the order of a little over 9,000 HP. This one has over 10,000. So this will be a little bit tougher, and for that reason, maybe not the best time to have thrown on a different axe with Slinic, and notably Slinic is still silenced. So all the things we were saying we ought to have done, maybe this was not the time to forget about them. Now of course we were using Solid Sonata previously when we fought a golem, and I think that works quite well because the combination of that and Mardek's physical shields were enough to allow several people to tank hits that otherwise would have one-shot them. Charla, though, I think you are our primary source of damage because remember, the Mithril Golem does have, of all things, weakness to air more than anything, well, other than Ether and Fig, but I'm not sure we're going to have much of any sources of that type of damage here. 40 defense means it's going to be difficult to do any damage with physical attacks, and then the 50 strength plus 60 attack means that's why I'm quite concerned about getting hit with those attacks. So, we'll start off with this. That will be our best source of damage, yes, I do believe. As for throwing on shields, who do we prioritize? I think the answer is probably Charla, because again, she is our best source of damage. If anyone can tank, it's probably Mardek. Elwian has high evasion chance, so although she definitely would go down in one hit, if she does get hit, the hope is if we hit our reactions, she'll elude it. So then, Slinic, I think, fortunately you can still use Perforate here. It is only Fire Breath that the silence stops you from using, because that's your only spell. And so Perforate, although it will deal 0 damage because it's non-elemental, it will lower the Mithril Golem's defenses, which long-term would help for both Slinic and Mardek, but just reducing by 2 is not great. Fortunately, we see that it did target Mardek, and Mardek, of course, has the strongest defenses out of anyone, so he's doing okay there. Eloian, I think we probably do want to continue playing Solid Sonata, because again, that is increasing our defenses, and therefore reducing the damage the Golem will do with those physical attacks. Charlo, though, at this point, you are almost entirely out of MP, and therefore cannot use any Thunderbolts at this point, so we might want to use your last remaining Ether at this point in time. Otherwise, we'd have to have Mardek use one, or if Slinic has one, that might be best, because I was going to say, Mardek, we really want to spend Mardek's turns putting on those shields, because that is really important. Slinic at this stage, with low MP and a weak weapon, you're probably the least valuable to us right now, so we just don't know definitively if Slinic has an Ether right now, so that's my hesitance there. I'd say we know for sure that Charla has an Ether here, so we'll just delay our damage a little bit by going that route here. Then we throw on a physical shield, and I would normally say Slinic's probably next on the priority list. Let's go with Elwian instead, though, because as you're saying, Slinic with low MP and a weak weapon, not as useful to us. You don't have enough MP to use Perforate here. Now, do you have any way of restoring your MP? You do have one Ether as well. For you, yeah, I suppose I was going to say if you have a mana barrier, that might actually be fine, because you don't have a lot of maximum MP. If we use an Ether here, it is an over-restore, and ooh, okay, there we see, fortunately, Elwian did evade that one, and we did, of course, put on the shield for Elwian, so she might have been able to tank that. But we keep on Solid Sonataing. That will also help in that regard. And then now, Charlotte can go back to using the Thunderbolts. This is where the damage is primarily going to come from, unless and until Slinic can lower the physical defense enough with Perforates to make it so that we can deal some damage with physical attacks as well. As for physical shields, I think, yeah, we can probably throw the next one on Slinic, because again, Mardek has proved that he can tank those hits. So Slinic, you can go back to Perforate. Hoping for, I was going to say, more defense reduction than the 2 that we saw last time. That time was just 1. And good thing that we did put on that shield there, because if we hadn't, Slinic would have definitely gone down there. However, did that remove the shield? Looks like it did, because I see that Slinic does not currently have one right now. Or did we throw one on the wrong person accidentally? I wouldn't put it past myself to have done something like that. So Slinic definitely will need a heal next turn. So Charla, I think you keep on pouring on the damage. The heal will be up to Mardek. Notably, that means that Mardek will not be able to throw on a shield as well. So maybe, tell you what, maybe we again delay the damage a little bit in order to throw on a heal. And well, Slinic, you're the one that needs it. Not really anyone else. So yes, target heal does get you back up to maximum HP and then some. Not that we can exceed it, but Charla, great healer, with her high spirit, more so than Mardek. With Mardek, let's throw back on a shield. Let's just make sure we're doing the right thing here. Physical shield on Slinic, yes. Definitely do have one now. now you can perforate once more, and hoping for, yeah, more like -5 defense. And again, there we see the Solid Sonata plus the shield is the difference maker. Charlotte definitely would have gone down there if we had not had that combination. So keep on doing it here, Eloian. Charla, this time round, will probably be okay with having Mardek use a heal. I think we have enough shields on, so Charla, you can go back to doing damage. You don't need to heal yourself. Mardek, let's heal Charla. She's, yes, back up to full. There you see, Mardek heals for roughly half the amount that Charla heals for. Again, the reason for that being Mardek has 13 spirit, whereas Charla has 27. That's the primary reason. And then perforate again with Sonic. Again, this is not dealing any damage directly, but we're trying to lower that defense so that future attacks that are meant to deal damage will actually deal some notable damage. Mardek did tank that hit. He does not have any shields on. The idea was you have the most HP and highest defenses so that you should be able to do that, and so probably is worth healing him at this stage, or with him being at roughly half HP, but I think that still worked out okay. Anyone else would not have been able to do that. So Mardek, and we saw that healing yourself is not going to be quite as effective as Charlotte healing, but that should be more than enough there. Putting on an additional 900 HP. And the perforate here, I mean, at some point we got to actually try to use physical attacks, otherwise the perforates are not doing anything for us. So I think the Mithril Golem has low enough HP at this stage that can probably shift gears with our physical attackers. Charlotte will, of course, keep on Thunderbolting, yes. But as for Mardek and Slinik, at this stage, let's just double check what is the Mithril Golem's defenses. After all that, it is down from 40 to 21, so should mean that at this stage, 21 is, that's definitely something in terms of defense, but it's not a crazy amount, so will we deal enough damage to take him out with an air slash? Possibly. Just barely, yes, Mardek does it. So remember, this was a Mithril Golem guarding a chest, which means we will get the item that was in that chest, which was a cursed blade. Okay, let's check that out real quick. In that case, what is it exactly? It is a sword with 45 base damage, which means it is stronger than Mardek's Forest Edge at the moment, and I believe at this stage would be the strongest sword. It's an ancient blade cursed by some powerful wizard. Whoever wields it is afflicted with the cursed status effect, but so are any enemies that it strikes. It also drains the energy of its victims, but causes its wielder to bleed constantly. Okay, so it gives the offensive reaction bleed 20% chance, which we've seen ever so occasionally. It is a similar status effect to poison, but I think typically deals a little bit more damage and also is much harder to get rid of. So it has 45 base attack, 10% crit chance is also the highest that we've seen, or at least tied for the highest that we've seen. That's along the lines of the Airpolitan Scimitar. Dark Elemental, so Dark Elemental attacks, notably, drains HP, so we'll get HP back when we hit people. It inflicts curse 100% of the time, notably, plus 5 strength, so in addition to having high base attack, high strength as well, but -5 vitality, so less maximum life, and -5 spirit, less damage with things like spells and less ability to heal, less MP, and it also auto-curses the user and auto-bleeds the user. So, strong upside, but also certainly strong downside. It is a high-risk, high-reward weapon. With an inflicting curse on the user, that does mean that the user cannot use any special abilities at all. So, it's a tough one. One that is perhaps worth using solely for the purpose of learning the bleed offensive reaction, but above and beyond that, is it something that you want to use long-term? Difficult to say. I think it is largely a matter of personal preference, but it's a tough one, for sure. But with that, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here. We did make it further into the MIASMAL Citadel, and we've uncovered a fair bit of new and unusual items. Of course, that sword there, we found the new gemstone that gives Solar new active ability that we'll want to check out soon, so we'll investigate that stuff a little bit further next time.